Welcome to Edinburgh Central Library. Central Library was opened in May 1890 and today we're in our wonderful and amazing reference library, which is one of the spaces of the library which has remained more or less the same since we opened. Now, if you'd come in here in 1890, you would have found a few wee differences. One of the main things being that there was a ladies section and a gents section. And the ladies were the really lucky ones because they had the fire. They had a nice big open fire to keep them warm in this rather airy space. The gents would have sat behind me as I'm standing at the moment. The space today is used really heavily for people coming in to study, to use the Wi-Fi, to use our people's network PCs. But since we started in 1890, it's always been a place of really serious study. And when they built the library back then, it was important that the people who were doing the really serious work had this amazing space to work in. In each of the 4 columns in the room, we've got a stair. Central Library was actually built on the site of the house of one of Scotland's Lord Advocates. His name was Sir Thomas Hope. And around the building, and we'll show you later in the tour, we have a couple of features from the original building that was here back in the 1600s. One of the wee hidden features of the reference library on that room, we've got these little narrow passageways, and we're pretty sure the reason these were built were just simply to hide the radiators. As you can see, there's a gap above us to allow the heat to get out to the rest of the library. So now you find us in what we call our stack, which is a really big book storage area, and which was added onto Central Library in 1903. So already in 1903 we were starting to run out of room to store our 1 million books or so that we have now. It's mysterious when you come up the stairs to reference because it doesn't appear as if it actually goes anywhere. But a long time ago it was actually the start of a staircase to the Central Library's loft. It's a very twisty staircase with a lovely view up Victoria Street. It's also the situation of one of the pieces of architecture from the original house which stood on the site in the Cowgate, which I mentioned before, Sir Thomas Hope's house. And as you can see, it says Tecum Habitat 1616, and that means simply just keep your own counsel. We're outside of the reference library now, and as I was mentioning before, we had a ladies section and a gents section when we opened in 1890. So the main door of the reference library here would have been the entrance the ladies used. The gents would have used the door behind me. Behind me you can see a bust of Andrew Carnegie. Andrew Carnegie was a well-known and very famous American industrialist, but he was born in Dunfermline, just a few miles across the Forth from Edinburgh. And as lots of you will know, Andrew Carnegie endowed libraries right the way across the US and Britain. But Central Library is possibly one of the best libraries, and certainly in Britain, that he endowed with money he gave the City of Edinburgh Council. Now, our boardroom today is used to have meetings in, and we do rent it out to members of the public for groups as well. But when the library opened, this was actually the head librarian's office, and it remained the head librarian's office for quite a long time, right up into the 1970s and